Guys, we are here with very awesome news that the Grayscale files the lawsuit against the SEC over the Bitcoin. Listen to this right now.
Well, last night, Andrew, we filed our opening brief. So this is the first document that goes into the courts that really outlines the arguments underpinning the case. This is a case about Bitcoin, but more importantly, we got to remember we have straightforward, common sense arguments here. The newest argument in the brief really focuses on this idea of a significant market test. This is a test the SEC has created on its own invention outside of its jurisdiction and authority under the Exchange Act. They've applied this very stringently to spot Bitcoin ETFs, hence why so many get denied, and very leniently to Bitcoin futures ETFs, hence why we have several of them in the market. We've never seen them apply this test before to other ETF applications or commodities before.
Grayscale CEO Michael Swanson joins the CNBC Squawk Box to discuss the Grayscale lawsuit filed against the United States Securities and Exchange Commission for its decisions to reject the company's sports Bitcoin exchange traded fund. During an interview with YouTube channel's Bloomberg Technology, the CEO of Grayscale Investment, Michael Swanson, discussed why he believes the United States Securities and Exchange Commission acted arbitrarily in rebuffing to bid its $12 billion Bitcoin trust into exchange traded fund.
Well, last night, Emily, we filed our opening brief for the lawsuit. So this lays out our initial legal arguments to the court, and is really the first substantive document as part of the litigation process. So it's important to remember this is a case about Bitcoin, but we're putting in front of in front of the court system, really straightforward, common sense arguments. I think one of the new arguments that's laid out here has to do with this idea of a significant market test, which the SEC has applied to Bitcoin ETF applications. They've applied this very stringently to spot Bitcoin ETF applications like Grayscale and other spot Bitcoin ETFs that have been denied, but very leniently to Bitcoin futures ETF applications, which is why we have several of them in the market. And this significant market test that the SEC has laid out, they believe protects investors from fraud and manipulation, and they got comfortable with that when it comes to Bitcoin futures. Well, the interesting thing and the flaw in that logic is that Bitcoin futures derive their pricing from the underlying spot Bitcoin market, which underpins GBTC and any other spot Bitcoin ETF application.
Before we start the video, as usually, I'm going to be talking about subscribe to the channel, Bitcoin thinking, and turning on the red notifications button so you'll never miss. And for future fascinating or interesting videos like that one. So back to the main topics, guys. The rejections over the risk and fraud manipulations in the spot Bitcoin market is a capricious and discriminatory, Grayscale wrote in a court brief. In a statement, the firm said that brief argues that the test the SEC has applied to Bitcoin-related ETFs and only Bitcoin-related ETFs is flawed, has been inconsistently applied with a special harshness to a spot Bitcoin ETFs. The SEC did not immediately reply to a request for comments on the Grayscale argument. Grayscale files opening brief in suit against the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Grayscale Investment, the world's largest digital currency asset manager, filed its opening legal brief in the United States Court of Appeal for the District of Columbia Circuit, challenging the decisions by the Securities and Exchange Commissions to deny the conversations of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to a spot Bitcoin ETF. Let's take some tweets about that process. Grayscale tweeted that which is helping investors access through the digital economy, which is secure, compliant, and the future forward products. We have filed the opening brief in our lawsuit against the SEC, challenging their decisions to deny our applications to convert GBTC to a spot Bitcoin ETF. A brief threat. Take a look on another tweet of the Grayscale. The SEC decisions back in June was disappointing, but we were prepared for all possible outcomes. That same night, we took actions. We have now reached the next milestones in the legal process. 3. Our opening brief is the first substantive document submitted to the court that explains the legal basis of our arguments. These includes: Number 4, we believe the SEC arbitrarily treats sports Bitcoin ETFs differently from the ETFs that hold Bitcoin futures, even though may carry the same protections and risk and driving their price for the same underlying Bitcoin markets. Number 5, the SEC application of its significant market test is deeply flawed because it does not achieve the intended effect of the protecting investors against potential fraud and the manipulations in the underlying Bitcoin market. Number 6, nor has the SEC adequately explained why their test should be considered the only valid test, let alone why it's applied strictly from the sports of the Bitcoin ETFs but voluntarily fund the futures. Number 7. Our proposal to convert GBTC to a spot Bitcoin ETF satisfies the requirements of the relevant law because it is designed to prevent fraud and manipulations while protecting investors and the public interest. Number 8. Our legal team argues that there is only one reasonable conclusion to draw, that the SEC is arbitrarily treating spot Bitcoin ETF with a special harshness inconsistently and inferiorly compared to other types of the investments vehicles without adequate justifications. Bitcoin prices are higher ahead of the key inflation data. Bitcoin holds at $19,000. The price of Bitcoin edged higher by about 0.4%, was trading at $19,000, while Ethereum rose 0.6% to $1,200. The September produced price index, a gauge of the final demand wholesale prices, came in higher than expected, suggesting to investors that the Federal Reserve is likely to continue aggressively hiking rates until inflation comes down.
Over a little bit over a decade into the life cycle of crypto, we have to give this industry the time to continue to flourish. New use cases will develop, and along with it, the way that investors and users alike utilize this asset class will evolve.
On the interview with YouTube channels CNBC Television, Bitfury, the CEO of Brian Brooks, discussed the crypto markets and the bureau regulations in the United States is heated. Grayscale sued the SEC mid-years after the regulator denied the company applications to converted its Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, the world's largest Bitcoin fund, into an ETF. The fund was started in 2013 and the company filed to plans the change the structures in October last year. In SEC lawsuit, the Grayscale calls spot ETF rejections arbitrary, capricious, and discriminatory. The legal brief filed Tuesday argues the SEC logic for denying the Grayscale applications to convert the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to a spot Bitcoin ETF is flawed and inconsistently applied. Grayscale filed suit against the SEC on June 29, asking the U.S. Court of the Appeal for the District of Columbia Circuit to review the regulatory decision which the SEC had published earlier in the day. Bitcoin is the world's first decentralized currency, a type of the digital asset that uses the public key cryptography to record, sign, and send transactions over the Bitcoin blockchain, all done without the oversight of a central authority. The Bitcoin price is $19,000 somewhere, a change of minus 0.31% over the past 24 hours. The recent price of the Bitcoin left the token market capitalizations at $364 million and $969 million. So for this year, Bitcoin is a change of minus 58.75%. I'm again talking about as usual. I am not your financial advisor. All the videos on the channel is only for educational purposes and not for trading advice. So be cautious during putting your financial assets in the cryptography, especially in the Bitcoin, in the correction of this area. So we are not responsible for any financial loss occurs if you want to invest in the cryptography. So first contact your financial advisors. That's it for today. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turning on the red notifications button. So see you next time.